everybody. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning and it's a really rainy day, so it's really not very bright. So I apologize ahead of time for the how dim it is, even though I've got all the lights on and I've got the windows in the front room all on, which is where I'm doing this from. Um, I just got through changing and brushing her hair. This is Miss Elana Michelle. If you have forgotten about her, and she's wearing I am Groot because she wanted to be Groot today. She's such a lovely little girl, and she's so well behaved and everything. And she wanted to be wearing some of Mama's jewelry, and I said no, but I would let her wear the Mardi Gras beads, so she's going to be playing with those today. Now, Mr. Robert Stephan is getting ready to get changed himself. And then after that, I'm going to show you the work that I've done on Marc and Catie's doll that I'm making to sell. It's the Isaac Asleep from Bountiful Baby. And it's the second of the dolls that I have made with the dragonskin, except that where Kaylee's doll was made with gold skin tone, Isaac is being made with silver skin tone. It's actually got kind of a silvery blue cast to it, but so this is the onesie that Mr. Robert Stephan is going to be wearing. And then I'll brush his hair, and then I'll show you the work I've done on Marc and Catie's doll. Now, since it's going to be raining today, and also because the limbs, the head and limbs are still curing from the last painting session I had, because I like to let it sit a day or two so that, the paint's all the way cured and dry before I start adding any more layers. And I can evaluate my progress so far and see, what I think I need to change about it before getting the varnish put on it, which I've got to find some varnish for the dolls. I've been looking at some, and I'll be putting those on order at the first of the month, if they're in stock. Problem is, every time I've gone to order varnishes the last few months, they were out of stock when I had the money to do the order. I don't know what people were doing, that they needed that much varnish in the middle of a pandemic, but, who knows. So, Robert Stephan's little outfit. Let me get his hair brushed, because they both had bedhead this morning. They had taken a nice long nap, and whoops. Yes, you can have a pacifier bag. I've got some more pacifiers on order too. Got one ordered for, well, I've got a bunch of them on order, but one of them is going to go to Marc and Catie's doll. And then, if you're gonna play that game with me, I guess the pacifier clip makes it a little bit heavy. Yeah. Alrighty. And sit over here with your sissy. Okay, so here is the head. See how pretty the blue is. I've added some shadowing and blushing since the last time. And the veins, and it's kind of hard to see the veins against the lighting on the camera, but it's the head, and there's one of the feet, and I'm gonna have to go through and do some more blushing, and some modeling and blushing again before the final layer of the skin tone is put on. And oops. And the shadowing is just, it's so subtle with this silver skin tone. The shadowing and veins are done with a purple color that was a custom mix. I custom mixed the purple color for the shadowing and veins. And let's see, I don't know if you can tell real good on the legs. The veins are very, very, very subtle on the doll, and that's something I've tried always to do, is to make sure that the veins and shadowing and stuff are fairly subtle. They're not in your face. You know, they look like they're underneath the skin. So I'll probably have to go through and do another layer with the veins. And then the head still has to have the scales put on the face, and then the hair scale that I did for Kaylee's doll is going to be repeated on this doll, except with different colors. So. And this is, again, the Isaac reborn, reborn, I should say. Isaac asleep, reborn from Bountiful Baby that I'm making this doll from. And I really love that particular doll, so I'm going to probably order another Isaac kit for myself when I get back to doing, you know, making kits for myself. Now my one for little Jay, except for the head, I'm very satisfied with the way it looks. The hair on little Jay's head is, it just doesn't look right. So I'm going to have to strip it down and redo the hair, and I'm probably going to, instead of trying to paint it, I'm going to see if I can't learn to root the hair with him. And that, if I can do that, and have it look right, you know, I'll probably just be rooting hair from now on. And I got a tip from a friend of mine as to how to make the painted hair look right. So I'm going to try that on the little miniature dolls and see how that comes, doll heads, see how that comes out. And one of these days I'm going to get around to trying to actually do the miniature doll heads up so that they look like, you know, more expensive dolls. And I'm going to be getting some bodies for them and making outfits for them and everything, so that they'll be in my collection too. It's like I got them just to practice on. I really didn't get them, those doll heads, to do anything for selling. But I thought I'd like to, you know, practice the skin tones and stuff with them. And that really, really helped a lot when I did Kaylee's doll. And so I didn't do that with this one because I already knew what the skin tone was going to be like and how how it was going to eventually look. I had a really good idea of it in my mind, and what I needed to do to get it to look just, you know, lifelike enough. And on this one, I don't know if you can really tell, but there's really a lot of the modeling, the red colored, just underneath the surface of the skin. You can see the blushing and modeling, and see that the pink is already starting to be on the lips. It's going to several more layers, I think, of that to get it to look just, you know, newborn enough for a dragon skin baby. Little dragon changeling baby. And if y'all remember, the story behind the dragon skin babies is that in this universe, it's a D&D campaign for a lot of my friends, and it comes out of a story that I wrote that never got published. The goddess Sheree, who created that universe, made these little changelings that would go from, they could be either a dragon or they could be a human looking. You know, they could look like humans or they could look like dragons. Because there was a human named Megan Betrak who was a veterinarian type specialist. And when her family came to a planet that is called Dragon's Lair, the planet itself had a lot of creatures of fairy, and it had also had several species of animals that were sentient and ruled along with the fae folk and humanoid type creatures. So one of which was the dragons that were called the Karun. And what made them different from dragons here on Earth is that they had 6 legs as well as wings. So and they had a form that was a land-based form and a form that was a sea-based form that didn't, you know, they didn't fly and they didn't, and the sea-based ones didn't come up on land. They had flippers instead of legs. They had 6 flippers. So, but among the Karun, among the winged ones, was born a baby, little dragon. When he hatched from the egg, didn't have rudimentary wings, you know, like most dragon babies would have. He just had these two little bitty stumps at his shoulders that should have been small wings. And so the king of the dragons, the king that ruled all of them, was of a mind to have the baby put down because they, up until that time, that was how they handled babies that were deformed. And Megan was a good friend of the dragons, and she would come and she would visit with them and everything. And the baby's mother, who was the king's spouse of all things, the queen dragon of all the queen dragons, came to her, and she was just, absolutely beside herself because she didn't want to lose this baby. And because this one he was healthy in all respects, but the other ones in the clutch, they didn't know if any of them were going to live. And so Megan said, well, let me see him. And she examined the baby, and it was healthy. And she looked at those little stumps, and she said, I bet that he could learn to at least glide when he was older if he had a set of prosthetic wings. And I can design some that will be functional for him. And so she went to the king and she told him of her plan, drew out a design for him there in the sand so that he could see what she was talking about, and he gave her permission to do this. So she went back home to her people and to the veterinary hospital, and she got together with a team of people to design the set of wings and make them out of the softest hide, and very thin membrane hide, and with a very soft very soft and thin, and with the framework for the wing out of the lightest possible metal, and then the leather for the straps to attach it to him. And so what she did was they took it to the little baby and strapped it on, and he immediately started clapping his shoulders, and that was how. And when he got older, he actually, because they made a set for him every year to catch up with his growth, so that when he got older, when he was full-sized, he had a set of wings that he could actually, he learned how not just to glide, but he learned how to fly. But he had to get up real high up on a cliff to fly, because he couldn't take off from the ground like other ones were. It was much easier for him to do it from a cliff. So anyway, because of this, when Megan died from a fever that she had not only had developed a vaccine for, and this fever was one of those zootropic things that carried between dragons and humans. She went with a vaccine and vaccinated all the dragons and as many of the people as she could before she succumbed to the disease. Sheree was so pleased with that. She made on another planet, she made a changeling that was a dragon in humans. So the dragonskin babies are what the babies look like in human form. And they have a little dragon suit that goes with them so that you can dress them up like they are in dragon form. Anyway, I'm starting to run along. I don't believe I chattered so much. If you liked what you saw, thank you, thank you, thank you. Subscribe and hit the notification bells and leave me a comment. And I really, really appreciate your watching. My email and my mailing address and my Patreon page are in the description below. And I'll talk at you later. You want to say goodbye, Mischief? Hi. Bye-bye.